South Korea's Aegis ships to get long-range U.S. interceptors. South Korea finalized a $352 million deal on Friday to acquire American SM-6 shipborne missile interceptors for its Aegis destroyer fleet, with the weapons scheduled to reach operational service by 2030 for the country's Defense Acquisition Program Administration reported. The approval granted by the Defense Project Promotion Committee, South Korea's senior arms procurement decision-making body, covers SM-6 interceptors and related equipment intended to sharpen the Navy's ability to defeat anti-ship ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and aircraft threatening its most advanced warships. The SM-6, formerly designated the RIM-174 Standard Extended Range Active Missile, is one of the most capable shipborne interceptors in the American arsenal and among the most versatile naval air defense weapons ever built, with a maximum range of 460 kilometers and an engagement altitude of up to 36 kilometers. It can reach targets far beyond what earlier standard missile variants could address. Critically, it carries an active radar seeker, meaning it can independently track and home in on a target during the terminal phase of flight without requiring continuous guidance from the launching ship. That autonomy allows a single vessel to engage multiple threats simultaneously, a capability that becomes decisive when adversaries saturate a ship's defenses with coordinated volleys. The SM-6 can also intercept targets in the terminal phase of a ballistic missile trajectory, adding a layer of capability that previous ship-based interceptors reserved for land-based systems. South Korea's decision to field the SM-6 reflects the specific threat environment its Navy operates in. North Korea has invested heavily in anti-ship ballistic missiles, a category of weapon designed to strike moving naval vessels at sea by maneuvering during descent in ways that overwhelm older shipborne defenses. China has developed similar weapons, most notably the DF-21D and DF-26 series, which Western analysts have described as carrier killers designed to deny U.S. and allied naval forces access to the Western Pacific. For South Korean Aegis destroyers operating in those waters, carrying interceptors capable of engaging ballistic threats at extended range transforms a high-value surface combatant from a potential target into an active layer of the regional missile defense architecture. The SM-6 interceptors will equip 3 ships: the ROKS Dasan Jeong Yakyong, an 8,200-ton Aegis destroyer scheduled to enter service later this year, will receive the missiles, as will the ROKS Daeho Kim Jong-seo, another vessel of the same class. The already deployed ROKS Jeongjo the Great will receive the SM-6 through a future capability upgrade program, extending the interceptor's reach across the existing Aegis fleet rather than limiting it to new construction. The path to Friday's approval was not entirely smooth. The United States government cleared a potential sale of up to 38 SM-6 missiles and related equipment to South Korea through its government-to-government foreign military sales program in November 2023 at an estimated value of $650 million. Friday's approved project budget of $352 million, and DAPA's phrasing suggest the final acquisition may be smaller in scope than the ceiling set in that initial clearance. The delivery timeline also shifted, pushed back from an original target of 2023 to 2031 to a revised schedule running through 2034. A DAPA official acknowledged the delay directly. The negotiation process took time, even though we have been pushing ahead with the project since 2023, the official said. The system will be rolled out in stages in accordance with the schedule agreed upon with the U.S. side. The staged rollout approach mirrors how South Korea has handled previous major naval capability upgrades, integrating new systems across its destroyer fleet over several years rather than attempting simultaneous installation across all hulls. That sequencing reduces the operational risk of having multiple ships in reduced readiness simultaneously, while also allowing early operational experience on the first equipped vessel to inform installation and training on subsequent ships. Friday's committee session also approved a separate and significant program, a dedicated military communications satellite intended to replace South Korea's aging satellite and ground communications infrastructure. The Agency for Defense Development will lead the research and development effort, which targets a geostationary military communications satellite along with associated ground systems. The program runs from this year through 2032 at an estimated cost of approximately $843 million at current exchange rates, with a contract for prototype development expected to be signed by March of next year. The specifics of the satellite's capabilities, capacity, and intended users remain undisclosed in the DAPA announcement. Taken together, the two approvals point toward a South Korean defense establishment investing deliberately in the infrastructure of independent military capability, both the interceptors to defend its ships and the communications backbone to coordinate its forces without depending entirely on allied networks. The SM-6 acquisition in particular slots into a regional missile defense framework that the United States, South Korea, and Japan have been tightening through a series of bilateral and trilateral agreements since North Korea's accelerating ballistic missile test program made the urgency impossible to ignore. Whether 2034 proves close enough to the threat timeline is a question the region's security planners will be watching carefully as that schedule runs its course.